Hello everybody and welcome. We are going to be talking about how to strengthen your relationship with your children. It is a privilege to be able to present here for the Yedidim Parenting Symposium. I've worked with Rabbi Goodman a number of times and the organization is just tremendous, and what they want to accomplish here is so vitally important, and they're ready to relaunch under the name of Epic Families, which is going to be very exciting. So let's begin. Talk about how to strengthen your relationship with your children. I'm going to share with you, and I speak very quickly, and those of you that have heard me speak before know that, so I'll apologize in advance and try to be mindful to slow it down. And here's how we go. So, first off, there are a couple of areas where our relationship with our children can become most fractured. And they are in two main areas, and that is giving criticism or giving advice even, and hearing your child's complaints or criticism. If you think about the times that you might have gotten into a little bit of conflict with your children, the relationship was a little bit dented or bruised, it's generally in the areas where they're doing something you don't want them to do, or they're coming to you and they want to do something that you don't want them to do, or they're complaining about something that you're doing or that someone's doing, and so on. So there's lots that goes into the soup in terms of relationship with our children, but these I think are two very vital ones, and we'll go ahead and tackle them right here now. So when it comes to giving rebuke to a child, techacha, criticism, if you can do it and they can hear it, then fine. We're going to be speaking about the child who's not able to hear it, because anyone that can hear constructive criticism, then you go ahead and you do the typical sandwich approach. You start with something positive, and then you tell them what it is you want them to work on, and then you end with something positive, and that's great, and on we go. But for the child who's a little bit more sensitive, or maybe for the relationship that's a little bit more strained, you need a more sophisticated approach. Because here's what happens. When you criticize a child and they're not able to hear it, you're telling little Chaim he shouldn't do this, or you're telling, big Eliyahu that he shouldn't do that. Three things happen, and none of them are good. Number one is he's angry with you, right? You're the catalyst that makes him feel bad at that time. So he's angry with you. He's angry or ashamed or feels guilty with himself, because at some level he recognizes his behavior is wrong. So again, he's angry with you, he's angry at himself, but most damaging is he's now justifying in his mind all of the reasons as to why it makes sense that he should continue doing what he's doing. Moreover, he's already maybe plotting and planning exactly how he's going to continue doing what it is that you're yelling at him about. Because the thing is that we people, humans, do not move forward from a place of negativity. Yes, it's possible to go ahead and to berate someone into action, but real long-term growth in ourselves and anyone else, it doesn't happen from beating them up. It happens from a place of positivity. And if you think of yourself, when you want to move forward in something, but you tell yourself, you know what, I can't believe I did that. That was so silly of me. I made a huge mistake, and you're beating yourself up. You're now behind the eight ball. And when we don't feel good about ourselves, it makes it harder to invest in ourselves. So when you point out what your child is doing wrong when they're doing wrong, again, you've got those three very damaging things happening, and you put them in less of a position to make a change. Because again, if we're making a change from a position of strength, not weakness, you want to build your child up. So, of course, if the child is doing something you don't want them to be doing, the question is, well, how do you build them up? And the answer is that whatever meter, whatever character, whatever area it is you want them to work on, that's when you go ahead and have that conversation. So, for example, let's say that you want your child to be more responsible in coming home on time. Okay? So, you can go ahead and berate him when he walks in late. Or the next time he happens to walk in on time or close to time, you can sit him down and you can say, but in a genuine, authentic way, not in a, hey, look who finally showed up on time. Not one of those things, but rather, you know what, so-and-so, we really appreciate that you took the time to come home on time, because, we worry when you're out, this, that, and all you're doing during that positive mussar schmooze is you're charging it with positivity, and he's sitting there the entire time feeling good about himself rather than being beaten up for getting it wrong. You want your child to come to Shabbos table on time. You want your child to bench. You want your child to have more derech eretz. You want whatever it is you want your child to work on. When they get it right, that's the time to go ahead and to illuminate it and say, I really appreciate that you took the time to do X, Y, Z. There are a number of psychological layers that go into this in terms of transforming the self-concept. Let me just actually, since I brought it up, we'll go ahead and touch on that briefly. And that is that we act in accordance with how we see ourselves. So, one of the mistakes that parents make, and there are many, and I'm certainly no exception to that, and that is that, we want to be careful not to label our children with derogatory or even seemingly benign but injurious names. A child doesn't get up to go clear the table. There's my lazy bones. Or child doesn't, follow through on his word. Or there's my lack of commitment. Everything is bli neder. All you're doing is reinforcing that self-concept in your child. You may have had the experience as an adult where someone would give you a compliment and say something such as, I always respect the fact when I come over to your house Erev Shabbos, everything looks so calm, right? You can be sure that the next time that person comes over to your house Erev Shabbos, you're going to do a little bit more of an effort, make a little bit more of an effort to make sure the house is calm. You show up on time and someone says, wow, I respect the fact that you're able to show up on time and not leave people waiting. You're going to be more mindful to do it again in the future. Now, you are a reasonably healthy adult, we'll assume, and you can see how easily your self-concept can be reshaped and how you can see yourself through the lens of an other and want to live up to that expectation. Again, there's lots that goes into this, but by children, it's doubly so, meaning that you want to infuse your child with a self-concept of something that is positive. So when you have a child who may be a little bit selfish, for example, whenever he gives a toy to his sister, or whenever he clears the table, whenever he extends himself, they say, wow, you are awesome. I so appreciate that. He does the job and is halfway done. Focus on the job that's the focus on the part that's actually done rather than the part that's not. You're going to get much more traction. You're going to get much more cooperation. You're going to, at the very least, not damage the relationship. Again, there's lots that goes into this, but let's go ahead and shift gears very briefly to the idea now about hearing criticism and hearing critiques, or hearing anything child wants to do. So I encourage you, no matter what it is that your child wants, do your best not to short circuit the conversation. Your child may come to you with an inane request, something he or she wants to do, but it's very, very important, and this is true in Shalom Bayis and in all our relationships, that you don't short circuit your child and interfere with his or her ability to express themselves. Meaning, there's a saying that a child who can express themselves to the mother can express themselves to another. Any child that grows up that's not able to express how they feel will have a very hard time doing that as adults. And again, through no fault or failure of the parent, we just sometimes as parents don't recognize that this child needs a little bit more in order to bring them out of their shells. So it's certainly not about casting aspersions on our own parents for our lacking, but rather to recognize as parents what we can do moving forward for our own children. So, I heard plenty of times growing up, I say, I'm hungry. You can't possibly be hungry. You just ate. I'm thinking, oh, okay, and I turned out okay-ish. Or your child will say, I've got to go to the bathroom. You just went to the, how would you look like as an adult if you told your wife, I got to go to the bathroom, you're driving lunch, like, you just went 20 minutes ago, you don't have to go. It's like, oh, okay, right? A child learns that they can't trust themselves. A child learns that they can't even believe how they feel is true. That's in the area of feelings, and so again, what parents will sometimes do is they will minimize it, thinking that they're doing the child a favor. Child's scared of something. You got nothing to be scared of, don't be scared. Well, all you've done is told that child that how they feel isn't accurate. So what happens when they transition to adulthood and they no longer trust their instincts, trust their gut, trust their own belief? So there is a time for telling a child that there are not monsters under the bed or in the closet. And there's a time for telling children they don't have to be scared of this or that, whatever the issue is. But the solution phase only comes once you've established that connection and you heard your child out. You haven't invalidated. You haven't made them feel silly for bringing something up. You haven't belittled it. You haven't blamed them. Child comes to you, he's upset because he can't find his shoes. And then if you only would have put them where I told you to, so very nice. Not only are you not empathizing and validating, but you're actually blaming the person, your child, who's coming to you. that's not going to do a lot for their emotional resilience, and certainly not going to be great for the relationship. So whenever they're coming to you to express a thought, opinion, idea, preference, hear them out. Now, if they want to do something or they have a complaint about something, it's the same thing. You know, there's a saying in sales, which is so applicable here, and that's that people don't care what you know. People don't care what you know till they know that you care. Up and until the point you're able to establish a sense of connection with that child, that empathy and validation, it's going to be very hard to move into solution mode, because the child isn't really interested in your saying no, right? Until they understand that you understand the pain that they're in. And the only reason you would say no is if you had to. So whatever it is a child comes to you with, again, they want to get this device, they want to have this sleepover, they want to go do this, something that you may feel is a no, first off, hear them out. You may find that it could be a yes, or there could be room for compromise. But don't just kick the can and say, I'm going to think about it, which they're not going to like, because every time you think about it, it's going to be a no. Rather, genuinely, honestly, hear them out, see what they have to say, express empathy, which means that you're congruent, you're not interrupting, your nonverbals express how they're feeling. Validation is not about right or wrong. Validation simply means I understand based on how you're feeling, based on how you're seeing things. This is how you're feeling, and really, it's a stamp that lets them know it's okay to feel it the way that they do, and you can understand that they're feeling sad, or they're feeling anxious, or they're feeling worried, or they're feeling sad, whatever it is. And then once you've given them that stamp, that validation, that's when you can move into solution mode and say, okay, let's look at it this way. But again, until you've got that connection, you're not able to give them a solution. Because even if a child comes to you with something that they want and you give it to them, maybe they've gotten what they want and they're happy, you've done zero for the relationship. More important and more valuable, by the way, is when they don't get what they want, when they get what they want, even better. But if they don't get what they want, but still you haven't injured the relationship. Many times parents will think, my child's going to come to me with a request, they're going to be upset, and it's going to ding the relationship no matter what I say and do. Not the case. If you take the time to establish empathy and validation, it will not injure the relationship if you have to say no. So lots more goes into the psychological soup in terms of building connection, but that is those are two very important areas in terms of giving criticism or rebuke and being able to hear it in the same way. So, International Parenting Day is a truly inspiring opportunity for parents of all walks and all areas to come together and to learn. So it's a tremendous chus, a tremendous opportunity, and I'm grateful for the ability to be able to express some ideas here. And quite frankly, you've taken time from your day to learn how to be a better parent. So that is, something that you should take great pleasure in, because you're investing in the most precious commodity that you have, and that is your children. With that, I wish you happy parenting and thank you for watching.